Tom. I'm Taylor.
Nice to meet you, Taylor.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Well, it's good to have you here today. And I'm just going to start with a question about your philosophy about coaching basketball. So what is your philosophy for coaching basketball?
Okay, philosophy is fairly complicated, but I think as first you're a coach, you have a basic philosophy, and then as you get more and more experience coaching, you probably expand upon your philosophy. But my philosophy is to try to do what's best for each individual player, rather than try to think of me as a coach. I want to treat the players number one. I want to be firm with the players. They have to learn discipline. They have to be treated fairly. You can't show favoritism with your players. And you've got to teach the girls not only basketball skills, you've got to teach them life skills so that they become a good citizen once they get done playing sports. I want to have the players work together, support one another, respect one another, respect the opponent. That's basically my philosophy.
Okay. So what is your past experience with coaching basketball, and have you played and coached before, and how many years have you played and coached before?
Yes, I started out probably at age 9 or 10 playing basketball. Played right through middle school, high school, and 1 year of college basketball. Coaching basketball, I've coached basketball, boys basketball for 8 years, and girls basketball now for 6 years at the high school level and 3 years at the girls club level. So I've had a lot of experience as a player and as a coach.
Okay, and from coaching all those years, what skills have you acquired from coaching and also playing that makes you qualified for this position?
Yeah, the nice thing is to play for a lot of different coaches, because I played a lot of sports, and each coach has a different philosophy and different ways of doing things. So you kind of learn things from each coach, and you've had a lot of players that you played with as teammates, and all of the coaching I've done up to this point, I've learned a lot from each and every individual player that I've coached. What works for one player doesn't necessarily work for another. You have to be patient. I learned a lot from assistant coaches that have coached with me. So that's basically been my experience as a player and a coach.
Okay. Then going off that subject a little bit, what is one word or phrase you would want people to associate your name?
Yes, it's hard to pick out one word or one phrase, so I'm going to try to use several words and several phrases. I want people to look at me as a coach who is fair to each and every player, try to get the most out of each player, tried to teach them life skills besides basketball skills, tried to be the type of coach who listened to his players and took advice from assistant coaches. And when players had advice to give, listen to their advice, because a lot of times they know pretty much what can be done in a game because they're in the game under fire, and they can come to a huddle and, give some information to their coaches. So I like to have people believe that I listen, I'm open-minded, I'm fair, I am hardworking, dedicated, those sort of things.
Okay. And then who has had the most influence on your life and why?
Like most people, your parents, my parents supported me as an athlete and as a coach. My father very seldom missed an athletic event, whether it was football, basketball, or baseball. And he supported me. He gave me suggestions. He was a really good athlete, but he never really interfered with the head coach. He let the head coach do the coaching, and he was just basically supporting me and the rest of the team. My coaches that I played for in every sport, I think they influenced me a lot and probably encouraged me to become a coach and a school teacher. So my teachers also were a big influence in my life, and like I said, led to me to become a math teacher and a coach.
All right. How would you deal with a player that complained about the program or you as a head coach?
Yeah, first of all, I'd make sure I have a meeting with the parents and the athletes at the start of the season and try to go over some of the things that I expect out of the players. and let them know that anytime that they're not satisfied with how the program's being run or how your daughter's being treated, to just contact me and I would set up an appointment to meet with the individual player or the parents or players and parent and kind of go over what I feel is happening. And a lot of times if there's a complaint, it's basically playing time or not getting a starting position. At least I can mention to the parent and the player what they need to do to get more playing time, why they're not getting more playing time at present, what they can do to maybe break into the starting lineup and exchange ideas with the player and the parent, showing them that I'm open-minded and I like to discuss things and not let them get out of control.
Okay. What is your vision of a successful program?
Well, like all coaches, you want to have a winning season. I like to set up goals as a coach, and then I have the players come up with individual and team goals, and we like to discuss those. Yes, we'd like to have a winning season, but I'd like to have them get more out of sports than just trying to have a winning season. They want to become good citizens, good sports. They want to respect their opponents and the opposing coaches, the officials, learn to play by the rules, learn to play fair, learn to work hard, make sacrifices, be a member of a team rather than as an individual. You got to work with teammates, support teammates. That's basically it.
Okay. How do you deal with multiple sport athletes?
Yes, I know some coaches would rather have their athletes participate in just their sport or maybe one other sport, but I'm a firm believer that I'd like to have my players compete year-round in sports because it really helps them for the sport I'm coaching in. And as an athlete, I participated year-round, even during the summer in athletics, and you play for different coaches, learn different things. They have different ways of doing things, different philosophies. You learn to play with different individuals. So yes, I support multiple sports.
Okay. How do you prepare your team for games?
I do scouting on a regular basis. I can't always scout every team, but I try to scout as many teams as I can. But I believe that you can't really rely too heavily on a scouting report. When I do scout a team, sometimes I get some game films on them, maybe show a little game film to the players, but not spend a lot of time. If you rely too heavily on a scouting report, you might be misled because even if you scout a team, say 2 nights before the game, they might do a lot of different things in the game you scouted, and they might be a completely different team when you play them. So I think you're better off spending extra time on the things you do well and not be so concerned about what the other team does.
Okay, and then I just have one last question for you. What are your academic and behavioral expectations for your players both on and off the field? I mean, court.
Yeah, I want the players to, of course, when they're playing basketball, give their best effort at all times, practice and during games, but also I want to have the same effort in the classroom. I want them to be polite to their teachers, cooperative with their teachers and their classmates, just like their teammates. And I expect them to set a good example for our team, for the school, for the community, be able to volunteer in the community, try to help those that are less fortunate, try to coach in some summer coaching clinics if there are some, maybe help coach some youth teams, because a lot of times these younger players look up to the varsity athletes, so you got to really set a good example, show them that you're interested in them, and you'd be surprised how you would influence their lives.
All right, Tom. Well, that's all I have for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Not at the present time, but if I do, I can always contact you.
Okay, and then I just wanted to let you know that if you decide not to continue pursuing this coaching position, to please let me know so I can withdraw your name. And also, if you want this job and are offered another, can you please call to find out where we are in the process before accepting the other job?
Sure.
All right. Thank you for taking the time to come in today.
You're welcome.
And we
Thank
will
you.
be making a decision within the next 2 weeks, and we'll get back to you either way.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is that all right? I sound like a bad idiot, but